I was reminded repeatedly of going back to New York by Grand Central Parkway, Park Central, and how it gave me the feel of being in Central Park, and just this constant reminder. And it was from 2012 after being here, and it was finally in 2014 when I did go up to New York, and it was after seeing this, and I was shown this layout by Martha, who was a psychic medium, and was telling me how this was a head, a skull, and she had just saw it by showing somebody, trying to give them directions. And when she pulled it up to see where they were at, it came right to her. And she had been there for years earlier and never saw that before. And when she told me and showed it to me, and she said, "That's you." And so we looked at it, and I always kept it in my mind, because this is dealing with the mind. What are we dealing with? We're dealing with where you get your ideas from. All the things you do, your communication, your consciousness comes from your mind. So this here was not too far-fetched to understand there is something going on, and I knew that this was more related to what I had to do or what was going on with me from all this time. So when I said John Young, and John Young was the astronaut, and the idea was 1981 when he flew the first space shuttle, which was the same year that I left New York from Long Island and then moved into the city, and then was staying on 96th Street. And then by that time, come 1982, right after the New Year, when they dropped the crystal ball, and it was the next day, we were on our way down to Florida. It was the same year that Epcot opened up, 1982, where I said that this was connected to the idea that Walt Disney in the World's Fair, when I said it was 1964, and they came up with this whole thing with the future city, which is supposed to be a living city of Epcot, experimental prototype community of tomorrow, which came from Futurama, which is GM, that was supposed to build this future city but never did. So this here is showing you that it's connected, and I'm going to show you how. First, you see, you got city, you have Yankee. So I noticed that these places here weren't just something by mistake. It was all connected. So when I looked at it and I saw this, and when it's 2014, and I'm going to show you how it's connected. Is the World's Fair, where it sat in 1964. So this here, sitting on Grand Central Parkway, where the ideas came from for the future city. And it was here in Corona Park that the exhibits were laid out. It was Corona. Corona is a crown from the sun. It can't be a crown without relating to the sun. That's where the word crown comes from. Anything else is just fake. If you have a crown and it's not related to the sun, it's a fake crown, because this crown only means sun. It means corona. And you can see the relationship between here and the middle line, the closest line, which goes to which obelisk? The Worth Square obelisk, which deals with Worth, Fort Worth, Texas, which I'll show you back in Orlando again, how this is connected. And as I said, I came here, and it goes back to how the energy, the grid, pointed to my bedroom, 684 Commander Avenue, going back to the two beans. You know, I know it's the two beans, why I was related to it, why I went exactly on 2014, when I said I stepped into the museum at Central Park, because it was going back and reminded me, and it was the timing, because that same year, 2014, was the same year, 1969, when my mother got married and when the beans started coming in to my room. It was 1969. So how is it 1969? I'm showing at the same exact year, days, as it was 2014, when I finally go back here after 33 years of leaving New York and not going to Central Park, and then come back there at that exact date and time, which goes back to the time that my mother actually got married in the back of the house on 684 Commander Avenue, which led us to eventually go down to Florida in 1979. And then me go back to New York and then stay in New York, finish school, and then plan to stay in the city in Manhattan, but then end up coming back to Florida. I'd always thought about being in New York. I've always felt something was in New York. I didn't want to live in Florida, but I did come down here, and I stayed down here, and then this is what happened. As time went on. So I can show you back here. Back again. Corona means crown. Top. Where's the crown go? Here. Showing you that this goes back to the ideas. Dealing with the pineal gland. The dream state. Intuition. Then you got here Texas Avenue. Closest line to that where I showed you Corona Park was the Worth obelisk, where the energy came from, through there, connected closest, going to the house, which is where Fort Worth, Texas is at. So it may be a little bit hard to believe, conceive, and understand, because a lot of times people rather believe something they never saw before, but when somebody shows something, you want to take it apart and then think that it's, you want to believe it or you don't want to believe it. It's like saying something that close your eyes and you don't see it, open your eyes, it's there. So it's basically closing your eyes when you say you don't want to see it, your mind. And there I said John Young, who was the astronaut, 1981, and he did pass away. It was on January 6th, not June. June 6th is my mother's birthday. And you can see Millennium Boulevard ends here, right on the same area where I said it comes out of the pyramid, and then it comes right here. So here it is, and they're building a road to continue it down to where I can show you what's it going towards. All this in Orlando, the future city, the Orlando itself. And the reason why Orlando. Orlando goes back to the court, U.S. Supreme Court decision, which was the Dred Scott decision, which was named in 1857, March 6th. Orlando was renamed in September 9th, 1857. It was just changed because his story of being a slave owner was what they celebrated after the Dred Scott case was decided that slavery was open to the whole United States. So a lot of people would say, well, what is going on? We don't know anything about him. He was a slave owner. He had this, that, and the other. But the whole idea was the motivation was a Supreme Court decision. That's what made the name change from Jernigan's to Orlando. So here, as I said, this is facing this way, showing you it's looking at the three houses where I said here I'm in the middle, showing you the Orion upper part, and then you see the bottom here, which either way can turn left or right, whichever reverse side, you still have the bottom part of the Orion layout here, coming from New York, showing you Grand Central Parkway, using the Orion layout there to connect back to here, to where I said I'm living here in the house when it began in 1996, 1995, 1996, where it said it was upside down. And here, when I went to Egypt, and I remember this, looking at the Hera-Maket, the Sphinx, of the middle pyramid, how it was like this, and how I could see it looked like the same type of road design, but opposite. And that's when I stood next to it and took the picture. I took a picture inside because it reminded me of the house inside with the split plan. And then I took a picture outside down the causeway looking back at this type of design of the road when I went to Egypt, when none of this other stuff with the mall existed. Because I stood there going to Karnak, Luxor, and then seeing this after going away, coming back, and being told a mall was built next to my house. And the first thing I told them, watch what they name it. And then when they named it Mall at Millennia, which I said before, this had to do with the great year, 25,920 years, when the sun travels through all 12 zodiacs, constellations. And here, showing you back again, Orion is inside of here. Then showing you the connection between sunrise, high noon, sunset. So then here, sunlight path. As I said, it all goes back to when the beings started coming in the room. So what better connection and better message, better confirmation than to use 1969, 2014, 33 years, which 33 represents the 33rd degree, which I'm not in that or have never been affiliated with them. I'm just showing you how it works. I'm showing you where it all comes from. I didn't have to go in and be a fraternity or anything like that. They never done anything for me. I don't see a friend of any of them. I don't have anything that I'm trying to make them anything more than I'm showing you my story. I'm showing you my facts. And if it happened to be something with the Quran, if it had to be something with Christianity, if it had to be something with the Torah or something in anybody else's, would it be the Mayans or anybody else, and I was showing that, I would have done the same thing. If that was what it is. If it would have been Buddha, if anybody else would have been showing me something that would have been factual, I would have done the same thing. It would have been Hindu, India, it would have been Krishna. Anybody would have came and showed me something, I would have done the same thing. It would have been a gray, it would have been a Martian, it would have been some reptilian, if it would have been anything else and they showed me, I would have showed you the same thing. So it's not like something here, I'm trying to make somebody better or something out of, I'm showing you something. I'm showing you me. I'm showing you my situation. I'm showing you how this worked and how it come to be. Going back to my childhood. It goes back to Egypt, Kemet, which goes back to the sun, which goes back to the universe. And then showing you here the connection between the layout and the airport, showing you that this was McCoy Air Force Base, and then showing you also that it's the dollar bill, which on a dollar bill, it shows floral arrangements. Nothing else showing you about where it's at. It's just here. Then you see the all-seeing with the eye. You see the connection. This is why the obelisks in this area are here, showing you the same as the pyramid on the dollar bill without the top, upside down. Because it goes back here, showing here's the dollar, the back of the dollar, who's on the front? George Washington, Commander Avenue. You see, this is not something to play with. This is not something that I'm trying to make up because it is what it is. Of course, you have a dollar bill that you wonder why you use dollars and they're not backed by anything. They're not certificates of gold or silver. They're only belief now. You have faith in them. You have more faith in them than you have in anything you believe. Because if you really believe something and you really had something that stood behind you, why doesn't it give you money? Why doesn't it provide you money or currency to use in the place of it? If it's more powerful than that. If it's more powerful than the dollar bill that's telling you the story that's on there, why are you wrapped up in it if you're supposed to be so into what you say you believe and all these things that you're searching for this dollar bill that I'm showing you who's on it. And I'm showing you what it is. It's magic. You remove the money, you remove the silver and gold, and you left the faith, so you belief. So all this is connected. Then you have sunlight path right here. And like I said, look where I had to go. I didn't have to go any further. I didn't have to go up or go down. I can show you right here, the whole story right here. The whole truth right here. My mother's here. But of course, we live in a time where all truth is suspect. People want to believe what they feel like is the truth because they believe it. It doesn't make it the truth. Facts make truth. We live in a world of materialism. There's a time when things you can believe, but then things have to come up to confirm that. You can't just believe it forever. Okay, you can't believe you're going to die. You know you're going to die. It doesn't make any sense to just believe it. You know it. And this is what I'm saying. To know is better to understand than to just to believe and say, okay, I just have faith. Yeah, you have faith. But the fact that is sometimes you have to have belief. And when somebody shows you something that goes against what you believe, then you have to consider that belief. Or you can just stay ignorant to what it is. That's all ignorant is, ignoring. Being dumb, you just don't know. So which would it be? Would you rather be dumb or ignorant? At least dumb, you have a chance of having some knowledge of being brought into something. Being ignorant, it means that you just decide you don't want to hear it. Willful ignorance. That's what we're really dealing with. A lot of willful ignorance. People decide they're going to believe what they want to be. They want to be a dog, a cat, a bird, or whatever they think. And you look at them and say, I see a person, a man, a woman. But you're telling me you're a bird. But you say, oh, let's go with them. Don't hurt their feelings. Don't hurt their feelings. They're a bird. They're a dog. Roof, roof. That's what you're saying. So you're supposed to warp your mind for somebody else's comfort. So if I say what I'm showing you, then somehow there's something wrong with me, but roof, roof. I can be a dog. I could be a cat. That's all right. You're fine with that. This is all real.